Is your data at risk? 9 signs and symptoms of hard drive you need recovery and how to decide between software and hardware solutions. Have you ever experienced a data loss disaster? It's one of the most frustrating and stressful things that can happen to anyone, whether it's a personal or professional situation. But what do you do when your software data recovery efforts fail? That's where hardware data recovery comes in. In this video, we'll explore when choosing hardware data recovery over software solutions is essential to recovering your lost files and ensuring their secure retrieval. 9. Signs and symptoms. Drive motor spins up and detected correctly, but data recovering it by software too slowly. Software applications to handle read instability. The drive cannot be controlled. Whenever a read command falls on a bad sector, further physical degradation of the drive occurs, as well as the risk of firmware corruption. Resetting hardware skips bad sectors quickly. By using different reset commands, hardware recovery prevents the drive from registering bad sectors in its firmware logs, reducing the chance of further damage. A hardware recovery system's hardware, firmware, and software are all designed to handle a wide range of different situations and will not crash due to unexpected drive operation. Signs and symptoms. Drive motor spins up and detected correctly, but accessing it causes a hang, crash, restart at any random moment during the data recovery process. In standard computers, degraded drives can cause a crash, freeze, reboot, connection drop, or other similar problems if they fail to abide by ATA protocol rules. A software data recovery application does not have direct control over or exclusive access to the drive. Access and control of the drive during hardware recovery. At every step of the recovery process, proprietary software, firmware, and hardware are used to deal with degraded drives. 7. Signs and symptoms. Drive motor spins up and detected correctly in the BIOS, but does not detected within operating system. OS visible drives are limited to software applications. As soon as a drive is connected to Windows or Mac OS, the mounting process begins automatically. If the mounting process fails, the drive remains invisible. Intelligent file system parsing for hardware recovery. It first clones as much file system metadata as possible to the healthy target drive, including every good sector inside every unreadable block. Hardware recovery can still be used to take a full copy of the drive, handling read instability issues and allowing you to run logical recovery scans on the clone afterwards. 6. Signs and symptoms. Drive motor spins up and sounds normal, but is not detected in the BIOS of a computer. Almost any issue can cause this symptom, including general instabilities, firmware failures or sometime electronic failures. Hardware recovery can help if the issue is with general instabilities, or common types of firmware failures. The drive will have to be handled by a professional who has a solid understanding of the firmware design for the relevant drive family if it suffered a complex firmware failure. Software applications. Limited to drive initialization processes of the highest complexity. 5. Signs and symptoms. There are too many corrupted or lost files due to bad sectors. Typically, software data recovery applications read data in large blocks, typically 512-4096. With low timing overheads for handling individual commands, the hardware recovery architecture can use a much smaller read block size, typically from 128 to 256, without sacrificing speed. Additionally, hardware recovery identifies which files are damaged by bad sectors, simplifying the recovery validation process. 4. Signs and symptoms. Drive motor spins up and identifies correctly, but makes clicking, grinding noises and locks up the PC. It is easy for hard drives with this symptom to crash completely at any moment due to advanced physical degradation. There are many cases of physical damage to heads, platters that can be identified and disabled by hardware recovery to achieve partial recovery from good heads, platters. As compared to software-only solutions, hardware recovery can recover tens of times more data from such drives before they crash. 03. Signs and symptoms when the drive motor spins up. It makes clicking noises and does not identify in the BIOS. There will almost always be a completely defective read/write head on hard drives with this symptom. A failed head can sometimes be disabled to get a partial recovery, but most of these cases require an experienced professional to swap out the entire head stack in a clean air environment. 02. Signs and symptoms: the drive does not motor spin up and does not appear in the BIOS. When the drive does not make any noises at all, the printed circuit board, PCB, probably failed electronically. It could be as simple as the short circuit protection, TVs or fuse, being triggered, or it could be a more complicated electronic failure, for which the entire PCB will have to be replaced. 01. Signs and symptoms: drive is perfectly healthy, but files cannot be accessed due to logical corruption or encryption. Device-level problems are handled primarily by hardware recovery, rather than logical ones. Finally, we understand a hardware data recovery tool like hardware recovery is unlikely to provide an advantage over logical data recovery. Thanks for watching video. Goodbye.